Late autumn, Jefferson County, Kentucky. Pope Lick Trestle. Night shift between 11 and 3. Cold rain. Heavy fog. We were sent to keep people off the tracks. Locals told us to stay away. We didn't listen. The radio crackled. The ground shook, but no train came. Then a rock dropped between us. A voice called out from the dark. That's where it started. So before we continue, please make sure to like and subscribe to support the channel and comment down below where you're watching from. Thanks. I'll start the way Top always wanted it, in a statement: time, place, weather, who was there. Jefferson County, Kentucky. Late autumn, drizzle like cold spit. Fog low and tight. We were 4 on the ground. We rolled in quiet near the rail access road that feeds the Pope Lick Trestle, not the famous scenic kind. This one works. Freight still runs it, 90 feet up on skinny legs and rivets. The county had bodies on it over the years, trespassers, teens on dares, folks who liked the thrill until the train took it away. Command wanted a presence. That meant us, boots on slick gravel, jacket zipped, night vision ready to blink out the rain. I was Staff Sergeant Cole Harden, 32 then. I never hunted ghosts, I hunted problems. You fix problems with planning, light, and more bodies than the other guy. My guys, Specialist Jamal Ortiz, my comms brain, analytical. Everything had to add up or it gnawed at him. Corporal Shane Merritt, our medic. Sarcasm up front, nerves hiding under it like a twitch you try to sit on. Private First Class Eric Delaney. We called him Shorts because he wore them in weather that make a dog shake. Local kid. Born and raised not far from this rail. Brave, like a match tossed near a gas can. We topped off the trucks back at a gas station on Taylorsville Road. Board attendant, burnt coffee. Local old-timers in ball caps leaned on a shelf of jerky and watched us from under the brim. When Delaney asked the cashier how close you could get to Pope Lick, the store got church quiet. Old-timers went still like they'd heard a word you don't say. The cashier rang us out without looking at us. He said, "Stick to the road, don't go up there," and he didn't mean it like a joke. I unfolded the map against the steering wheel while the wipers squeaked. The lines made sense. The trestle sat like a spine across a shallow cut in a creek. Access road ran west-east, then bent like a lazy elbow to the south. A simple loop. We'd do a foot patrol under the span, check the supports, look for fresh tracks or beer cans, log anything weird folks left, then push to the east trailhead and back around. Quiet loop. We'd be back by 03 if the mud didn't eat us. The rain came on as a thin drizzle, cold enough to sneak through seams. Fog sat low along the ballast and crept into the ditch. The rails themselves had that faint iron smell. You feel it as much as smell it. A clean, bloody scent, like a surgeon's tray. "Comms check," I said. Ortiz lifted the radio mic and sent a chirp. 1-2, you have me? We got Lieutenant Mara Keating from the armory. She did the night remote like she was born with a headset. Controlled. Detached. A voice that came across flat on purpose. No extra color. Copy. 1-2. We have you. Reminder, line is live. Stay off the bridge. Roger, I said. We're not tourists. Say again your patrol route, she said. I read it out. Keating repeated, slower. Stay off the bridge. That line's still live. Roger, I said again and glanced at Merritt. He smirked. Top's got it on a sticky note, he said. We lined out. 4 of us passed the rusted signage that told the public to keep out. Railroad property, in peeling paint. The gravel had pooled water in lacy ovals, each one catching just enough sky to look like eyes. My boots took that wet crunch, and I felt the night pull in around the edges. Trucks behind us, locked. Radios checked twice. Extra batteries where I could reach them. Flashlight clipped. Night vision ready but useless in a fog this thick. We kept it simple. Lights low. Voices lower. Ghost shift, Merritt said, half to himself. We get extra pay for haunting, Sarge. You get extra push-ups, I said. Delaney nudged him with a grin. You're the doc, man. Tape some garlic to your gloves. Ortiz looked at his GPS like it was a compass in a strange land. He liked reading it before the walk to calm his head. Coordinates match, he said. Waypoint set. We'll log corners every 200. Copy, I said. Let's move. The world there had few layers at night. Wet gravel, black trees, low fog. A faint hum from the rails, not from a train, just the way metal holds the day and lets it go slow. The trestle rose like a giant deer rack above the dark, all angles and thin legs and crossbars that made a grid against whatever light the moon had in it. I felt the drizzle tick on my sleeves and the back of my neck. I smelled river mud and oil and old rain. I kept eyes on the path. I kept ears open for dumb things. Kids, drunks, coyotes. I'd dealt with all three. Only one bites you because it hates your face. The other two bite you because they're stupid or scared. Violence wears the same boots, though. You treat it like a chemical burn. Rinse it out fast and clean. The radio pops soft. 1-2, this is Keating. Last reminder, stay off the bridge. Copy, ma'am, Ortiz said. He shot me a look. She thinks we're dumb. She thinks we're bored, I said. Bored folks do dumb things. The route took us along the access road first. Rusted signs leaned in the weeds. A busted chain link lay half folded like a snake skin. We saw the old padlock in the mud, split. Not new, not yesterday. Not good either. I logged it on the pad, time and reference. We kept going. Every now and then the drizzle turned into a little flurry of drops, almost like a breath blown off the steel above. The noise came hollow and far away, drifted around us without a source. The trestle legs had tags, names, dates, bad hearts too big for small bodies. A little ghost town of markers left by kids who wanted to scratch their lives into steel and make them long. We reached the first support and the world narrowed. The fog thickened. The ground turned to tacky clay near the creek bed, with rocks that bit at the ankle. We clicked our lights up just one notch, tight beams, nothing crazy. I checked the steel with my gloved hand. Cold pulled through the leather like a wire. It felt steady, solid, unmoved by whatever killed kids up top. Just another quiet night in nowhere Kentucky, I said. I meant it. Then, I meant it. I don't say that to sound clever. I say it because the night heard me, and it changed. The woods tightened in around the rail corridor like they wanted it back. The trees crowd the line up there. Hardwoods bent with the slope, trunks dark from rain, leaves slick and flat. The creek ran low, thin, a chain of black pools where silt made it lazy. The air tasted like wet pennies. We went single file. Merritt behind me, then Delaney, then Ortiz. We kept our lights in the cup of our hands to choke the spill. It felt like walking under a sleeping beast. I don't mean anything big. I mean the whole place. The hills, the trees, the bridge above. Like if you touched the wrong thing too hard, it would wake and roll over on you. Ortiz gave a running overlay in that soft, even tone that told me he was holding down his nerves. Logging waypoint. 11:45 in the PM, local. Drizzle. Fog increasing. Visibility less than 50. No audible engine noise. Birds intermittent. Delaney chuckled under his breath. Birds are home in bed. Logging that too, Merritt muttered. Specialist Ortiz confirms birds go night-night. Focus, I said. We climbed a small rise where the shoulder tracked close to the girder legs. The fog puffed in and sank. Sound went wrong. It got close. Even our footfalls went muffled like we walked on felt. The air went warmer just enough to notice. With the warmth came a stink, faint, old barn and sulfur mixed, not strong. Just there. Delaney bumped up next to me. You ever hear the story, Sarge? About what? The goat thing, he said. Folks round here got stories. My cousin swears he. Save it, Merritt said. We're already in a folk song. Delaney huffed a laugh. Nah, I'm for real. He said he saw a shape up there on the bridge when he was a kid. Walked like it was wrong in the knees. Head looked like a goat, Ortiz said, tired. Right. Like horns, Delaney said. Like, I don't know. He said eyes shined red when you hit it with light. He said it talked like it had a busted radio in its throat. Sounds like his cousin had a bad night with cheap liquor, Merritt said, though his voice softened at the end. Write it up, I said. If you see it, not because your cousin said it. Facts first, Ortiz echoed, as if the words steadied him. We stopped under a set of crossbeams where rust bled in long tears. Ortiz checked the motion sensor puck he'd clipped to a post where the slope funneled down. Little green blink. Alive. He synced it with the handheld. Grid set, he said. If a deer runs through, we'll know it. I nodded, logged the time. The frogs and crickets had been working earlier. A low hum like breathing. Now they faded. Not all at once. In pieces. A string of them went quiet upstream, then the ones down, then the ones near us. The world closed up its throat. Say again ambient, I said. Animals quiet, Ortiz said, more careful now. He looked up at the bridge. It was just a black weight on the sky. Merritt, you ever hear crickets cut off at the exact same time? Plenty, Merritt said. Like when a big bird hits the branch, or a fox walks by. Well, we don't hear a fox, Ortiz said. Maybe he's sneaky, Merritt muttered, but he took a step closer to me. A sound scraped metal. Far. Not a train, not a truck, not a person with a backpack. A long, slow scrape like someone pulled chain across sheet steel. It came muffled by fog and distance. It didn't sound like it belonged to anything in particular, so my brain tried to fit it. The fit was wrong. Call it, I said. Ortiz raised a radio. 1-2, this is patrol. We have intermittent metallic noise, no lights, no engine. Keating's voice broke on the edge of static. Confirm location. Say noise again. Near Trestle West approach, Ortiz said. Noise-like, scraping, hard to pin. Copy, she said. Stay off the bridge, Merritt mouthed, smirking, and then froze mid-smirk. The motion puck popped a quick single tone. One blip, then clear, then nothing. Data ghost, I said. More to the air than to anyone. But I logged it. Time-stamped. Location. Could be a raccoon. Raccoons don't move like squares, Ortiz said. The return looked like I don't know. Then it glitched, I said. Rain does dumb things to smart boxes. The fog thickened in the line of trees like a wall. I watched it creep and pool, not a flow, more a settle. The beams above dripped. The creek made a little mouth noise against stones. It all sat wrong. Peace that isn't peace. Calm that's just the breath before the shout. Keep moving, I said. We finished the loop. We don't give the dark extra space in our heads. We moved, and I tried not to look up at those thin legs that held a live line over hollow night because I had a sense the night watched back. We came around to the base of the trestle where the supports widen and the ground hardens into a pad of gravel and old concrete. The fog thinned just enough to let us see 10 yards, maybe 15. Our lights cut short cones through mist. I swept left. Delaney swept right. Merritt and Ortiz took the center. Eyes on human sign, Delaney said, voice low. Fresh butts. Marlboro, still damp but not soaked. I squatted by the cigarette ends. The white paper had that slick look they get in minutes when rain kisses them. Soggy. Not washed out. I scraped a boot edge through the mud. Footprints. 2, maybe 3 sets. One looked small, all recent. Edges still sharp. Somebody's been here tonight, I said. Trespassers. Idiots, Merritt said, but too quiet to make it a joke. Fan out, I said. Tight. Stay in sight. We spread by 5-6 steps. The wind threaded the steel above, made a low hum. Our breath steamed in jerks. Fog crawled back and forth like it couldn't decide. Coffee when we're done, Merritt said, as if the word would build a little shelter we could all stand under. From that machine in the office, Delaney said, the one that spits mud and lies. Merritt snorted and then went quiet. We can pretend to be easy, but at some point the world tells the truth for you. Ortiz frowned at his radio. Weird noise, he said. Hear that? He tapped the ear cup. Like static in a rhythm. Describe, I said. Like breathing, he said, and shook his head. Like someone got close to a mic and exhaled. Long in, longer out. Not wind, not the hum. It's right in the band. I stepped toward him. The radio hissed, then cleared, then hissed again. It did have a pattern. Almost a pulse. I knew that sound from long nights under Hesco. Men sleeping with mics too close. People forget a radio is a mouth until it whispers back. Could be a butt pack somewhere keyed open, I said. Could be a kid with a cheap set. Could be. I let the could be fade. I didn't like any of them. The ground hummed under my boots, faint. Not noise exactly. Feel. A shiver in the ballast. I looked up the line for light. No headlamp glow. No white eye chewing its way through fog. Nothing. Train? Delaney asked. No light, I said. Could be far yet. They're heavy. They make the ground talk before the sky does. A tiny clink came from above, not a big one. Like a pebble hit steel and came off. Then a small rock dropped out of the dark and struck the dirt between us. A neat little tap, not a fall from a hand at our height. A fall from height, a fall that says, hey. Ortiz tilted his light up. The beam cut fog like milk. Nothing. Then Delaney's light swung and caught a line of rail and a suggestion of a shape standing on it way up, there, and not there. A figure on the trestle. It had a hint of narrow legs and a hunch, like a man waiting in the cold with his shoulders up around his ears. The light hit it, and it stepped left. Then it wasn't there. The beam sliced empty air. Movement, Delaney whispered, hard. Up top, mid-span, I swallowed. My throat felt gritty. Eyes up, but keep your feet on the ground. He took 2 steps toward the embankment before my voice pulled him back. He wanted to run right up the leg and climb. Brave to a fault. Brave like a kid whose backyard is in the story's map. We can be at the top in 2, he said. Stay off the bridge, I said, and heard Keating's voice in mine. It's live. We don't play with live. The radio hiss came back in slow lungfuls. Ortiz turned the dial like he could tune it to logic. He couldn't. He stared long and hard at the little digits because digits made sense. Then the hum came stronger through the ground again. Closer now. The rails sang, soft at first, then a shade louder, like a chord tuned low. The air told us a train finally. A long horn way out in distance, echo from a place we couldn't see. It carried through the fog and hit the underside of the bridge like a bottle rolled across a table. Eyes, I said. Hands. We sweep clean and bounce. We did the last sweep. A circle around the base, lights scanning slow, guns tucked where they should be but not raised. I tasted metal stronger and smelled a thread of sulfur like a match blown out. I don't pretend this is spooky. I didn't call it evil. I just logged it in my head on the list of things I couldn't explain yet. When we closed the circle, the fog breathed in and the world went quieter than quiet. Even our gear noise sounded wrong. I looked at the 3 of them, and between one blink and the next, the space felt crowded by one more. Ortiz's voice went small. We're not alone out here, he said. We weren't, and I had no name for what stood up there on steel and watched. We slid back toward the service road and the brush line beneath the trestle. The fog carried a weight now. It pressed around the edges and made our lights look tired. Keating's voice came thin and grainy. 1, 2. Leave the bridge. Repeat, leave the bridge. Say again, ma'am, Ortiz asked. Static chewed the rest. Even his second channel sounded like a bad throat. He switched to the backup, then to the unit we kept for weather seals, then back to the main. The slow in-out hiss kept time like a metronome in a funeral home. 5-minute break, I said. Dip, eat. No more than 5. We found the lee of a concrete buttress where the rain ticked less. We kept our backs to something hard. Merritt shook a packet of instant coffee into the lid of his canteen cup and topped it with water he'd warmed on the truck earlier. It sat lukewarm and muddy. He grinned at it like a pet he didn't like. Bon appetit, she said, and split it with Delaney. I took a sip and let it sit under my tongue where bad coffee lives best. It warmed the place you fake calm with. I let my shoulders drop a ½ inch. Merritt wandered up the little rise to take a leak and looked tough at the fog. He didn't wander far. I heard his boots unravel. Then I didn't. He came down the slope quick with his face looking wrong. What? I said. Found a raccoon, he said, breathy. Twisted like wire, no blood. Like somebody wrung it out neat. Bones north, skin south. No sign of a bite. No drag. Delaney made a face. You messing with us? I'm really not, Merritt said. I wish I was. Log it, I said. I meant it, but my stomach didn't like the words. We had a dead animal turned into a shape you don't see in nature, not without teeth marks or tire tracks. GPS is weird, Ortiz said from behind me. Hold on. I turned. He was looking at the handheld like it had insulted his mother. The little arrow that stood for us moved in a stutter, then returned to the same dot, then spun like it had nowhere to point. We're looping, he said. It says we're walking the same circle we walked 10 minutes ago. We stopped 10 minutes ago, I said. Yeah, he said, eyes not leaving the screen. It thinks time is lapping too. The fog pressed down the slope as if it had weight. A cold kind, like smoke from a freezer you opened too long. The rain got louder in bursts, and then quiet like someone rode the volume. We didn't move for a minute. Then Ortiz shouldered his thermal viewer because facts were his church. He panned it with slow wrists. He stopped dead. How many bodies we got here, he asked, voice flat. 4, I said. I'm picking up 5 heat signatures, he said, words falling out slow. He didn't turn his head. He didn't want to. 4 standing in a neat little clover. 1 behind the buttress, not moving. Merritt raised his rifle without one joke. Delaney looked over his shoulder like the night weather had skin. I pointed my light, careful, and stepped left. The beam caught wet concrete, then the edge of a bush. The beam pushed into leaves. Nothing. Hold, I said. Hold steady. Ortiz swallowed. It's still there, he said. It's like a person should be. Head height, shoulders. But the heat, I don't know. It's not solid. It's like, no. No what? I asked. It's like someone took the heat trace and smeared it, he said. Like a hand across wet chalk. I took 2 steps to the buttress, raised my light, and put it right where his viewer looked. I saw slick concrete and hanging vines and the marks kids carve when they wait out rain. I saw E&T forever in a shaky heart. I saw nothing human. Regroup, I said, back to the trucks. We reset. We call it in. We started down the service road with the fog pushing at our backs like a crowd out of a stadium. The GPS arrow twitched like it wanted to point 2 ways at once. Keating came through once in a clear line like a voice across an office, too crisp for night, and said, pull back, and then broke into 1,000 small knives of static. Copy, I said, and we moved faster. I don't use the word chased. Not for us. But I let the dark walk close behind that night. The road sloped between 2 wooded ridges, both shoulders steep enough to slide you if you took them wrong. The mud grew slick. Trees crowded, branches low like elbows. The air got warmer again. That sulfur match smell threaded in and out like a wire through cloth. Ortiz, you in the truck, I said. Get to the Humvee, spin the engine. Give me comms back. We'll hold the path and keep eyes out. 10 minutes. If we don't hear you, we come to you. He nodded, jaw tight. On it. I put him on point down the grade while I kept Merritt and Delaney with me on the path. We watched the flanks and the backsides of the trees like there were pages we had to read again and again to find the one line that mattered. A train horn moaned somewhere out east. It had the right pitch, but it ran on too long, like somebody leaned an elbow on the button and walked away. The fog grabbed the sound and stretched it until it got thin and weird. It slid down the metal of the bridge and turned hollow. You hear that? Merritt asked. Yeah, I said. It doesn't stop, he said. It will, I said, and hoped it would. We passed a concrete support wall. Graffiti, anything this far out is for the few. The words came rough and tall and black. It said, IT calls from below, with drips down the letters like they bled. My light touched the last O and found a smear where a hand had dragged. Delaney snorted with his mouth shut, so it came out his nose. Classy. Eyes forward, I said, but I looked at it again because you can't not. Ortiz's voice came clean for 2 sweet seconds, like air you forgot you missed. I have the truck, he said. Power on. Getting clean channel. 1-2, say again. The radio screamed. It wasn't a human scream. It was Ortiz's voice pushed through 10 distorted mouths, pulled long, turned sharp, then cut off. Static ate what came after. The sound stitched a seam right down my back. "Move," I said, and ran. We pounded the grade and threw ourselves into that lower lot with the trucks. The fog took on light there from the dash glow, which made everything look like a fish belly. The Humvee idled with the door open. Radio hissed an empty line. Ortiz was gone. "Ortiz," I shouted into the night, hard enough to make my throat hurt. "Jamal, sound off." Silence took that word and hit it. We scanned the ground with our lights. The mud had crisp edges in some prints, torn edges in others. We found the marks near the back tire. Not boots, not hooves like a deer, not exactly. Cloven. Broad where a hoof would be, but the heel bit way too deep for the size. Each step sank like a weight more than a person. The stride stretched long, too long for a man moving that quick. There were the marks of something hauled or dragged under the prints. Not blood, not a straight line. A smear like wet burlap. Delaney crouched and put his fingers near it without touching. "What the hell?" he said, soft. Merritt's voice went small, a kid voice, before he hauled it back into his medic face. "Sarge, look at the way the mud lifts." Like it came down heavy, then pulled up slow. "No tracks leaving out," I said. The prints went toward the creek and then turned into nothing. They didn't fade, they ended. Like the thing stepped off the earth and into wet air. "Where did he go?" Delaney asked. "Where did he?" "Get in the truck," I said, because I needed steel around us, even if it was false shelter. We clustered by the open door like kids who heard a parent come home late. The radio hissed with that slow in-out again. The horn out there droned and then broke into shorter blasts like a real train would use near crossings. But they weren't near crossings. We were the only crossing here. And we weren't crossing anything. I stood with one hand on the truck and my light at the ground, the beam wobbling with my breath. I wanted Ortiz to answer. I wanted him to jump out from behind a post with an apology and a joke, the kind that lands wrong and makes you laugh anyway. He didn't. I felt the dark around us like the space in a stairwell. Too narrow, too steep. Belly-level fear that comes with the place, not the thing. "Harden," Merritt said, voice thin. "What if?" "Don't," I said. "We stick to what we can do. We move under the bridge. We get eyes. We get our guy. We get the hell out." I said it in a tone like ordering dinner. Calm. Practical. I lied with the calm and told the truth with the words. It's what a sergeant has some nights. Not power. Just a way to keep the floor under everyone's feet. We grabbed what we needed. We went back under the bridge, and I didn't look into the mud where hoofprints ended, because the part of me that stayed alive this long knew not to ask a question I couldn't stand the answer to. The creek bed under the trestle runs rocky and low water. Pools reflect the steel in broken pieces. The fog there holds on like it's got fingers. Every drip is a click in the brain. Every metal pop from the bridge expanding and cooling sounds like a footstep in another room. Our comms died. Not cut, not broken, just quiet, dead space. You give your ear to the radio long enough, you learn its moods. This one went to sleep with its eyes open. We moved in methodical. I took the center. Merritt drifted left with his light on a low cone. Delaney took the right, eyes high, because he wanted to see above us more than me. He had that kid's belief. If you look hard enough at the dark, it blinks first. We stepped through shallow pools. The water added a stink of wet stone to the sulfur thread. Somewhere upstream, a raccoon should have been nosing the bank for crawdads. I thought of the one Merritt found, twisted like a soft toy wrung out to dry. I pushed the thought away. The sweep went clean at first. Left, right, center. Nothing but water and steel legs and graffiti that kids thought made them immortal for a little while. My shoulders came down. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd held. "Clear," Merritt said, quiet. "Clear," Delaney said in the tone of a kid who plans to make it true. We reached the main leg where the ladder climbs up into the guts. It's an old sort of ladder, steel rungs slick and cold, spaced like somebody's idea of a joke. We did not climb. We didn't even touch it. We stood a half circle below it like men around a fire with no flame. Something moved on the beam above us. I didn't see it first. Delaney did. His light jumped and stuck, then wobbled. He lifted his chin like his neck didn't want to, like a dog who smelled something you can't smell yet. "There," he breathed. "There." The beam above us had a shadow on it that wasn't fog. A figure crouched wrong. Knees out, back bent too tight, like something wearing a man wrong. It moved quick along the girder in a low scuttle. The shape felt thin and long at the same time, like it folded good. My eyes wanted it to be a guy in a hoodie. My gut said no. Merritt said that's not human, and he said it like a confession, like the words were a weight. The thing made a sound. I call it a bleat because that's close. But it wasn't a farm animal's noise. It had a machine in it, a deep mechanical echo like it bounced inside a metal chest. The sound vibrated through the steel under our feet and climbed my legs like a shiver. Rocks fell, not big ones, small chips from somewhere up there. They ticked our helmets and stung. One hit Merritt above the eye and he flinched, blood appearing quick and slick. "Blood," I said. "Scalp," he said, blinking hard. "Looks worse than it is." I brought my rifle up and found the eyes. I swear they shone red, not glowing like a comic, reflective, like you get when you hit a deer. Only these looked wider, set a little off for a human face. They caught my light and threw it back mean. I fired controlled. Two, then a third. I didn't plan. Muzzle flashes chewed small holes in the fog. Every round tore the quiet open with a rip and slammed it shut again. The beam sparked somewhere far left where a bullet kissed steel. The figure moved, quick, almost a fold and unfold. It ducked around the leg and out of sight. A pebble rain followed, tink, 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 like it scolded us for missing. "Fall back," I said, because the sound under the bridge grew into a horn now, not the long wrong one, but the right one, a freight horn eating up miles toward us. "We're done here. We make space." "Hold," Delaney said, eyes bright, breath short. "We can. We're done," I said. "Now." We moved toward the slope that cut up to the approach, because the creek bed on a live line is a coffin. The thing above us didn't chase. It didn't need to. It just moved with us, weight making a little ring out of the steel. I don't know how I knew it watched. I just knew. The way you know a dog behind a fence doesn't have to bark to let you know it has teeth. We got 3 steps from the slope when a voice called down from above us. "Help me," it said. It was Merritt's voice. He stopped cold like a magnet grabbed him. His face went slack. He looked up. His own voice came down again, a perfect pull from the throat, a little breathless like he gets when he runs lines on a casualty. "Help me, please," the voice said, exactly like Merritt, but wrong too. Like the words were pushed through a tube. Merritt whispered, "What?" like he lost part of his language. "Don't," I said. The thing let go of steel then and made a little shudder into fog. Just enough to show a limb bent the wrong way at the wrist. Just enough to show horn curve where there shouldn't be one. Just enough to show knee angles that don't look right if you've ever seen a man jump. We went up the slope backward, guns forward, eyes up, and the horn out there called us like a clock. The ground near the approach slants like the side of a big bull. Gravel shifts under boots and runs down in little rivers. We hauled Merritt between us because blood loved his face and he wasn't steady on that slope. We could feel the train now through our souls. A big, dumb, honest thing. Weight and speed. Its headlight made the fog in front of it a sheet you could punch. "Stay low," I said. Get off the bed. Hug the embankment. We slid to a place with a slope tucked under a lip. Safe enough if you respect physics. The beam above took that horn and kicked it in our teeth. The sound blew my eyes wet, whether from the wind or the noise I couldn't tell. Delaney froze, then stood, then pointed up the track with a jerk. "Ortiz," he said. "Sarge, he's on the bridge. He's right there." I looked. In the whitewash ahead where the headlight burned the fog into a wall, I saw a figure mid-span. Human shape. Shoulders. Legs. It stood too still. The train bore down with the noise like heaven breaking. "Delaney, no!" I barked, but he was already moving. A man like that doesn't weigh choices when his friend stands on a rail. He just runs. He sprinted up the gravel, feet sliding, hands pumping like he could pull the whole train backward with his arms. "Delaney!" Merritt yelled with my voice but higher. The headlight punched through the fog like a sunrise made of knives. Air sucked hard into the space around us. The horn screamed a short warning, real and mean. Metal thunder ate the earth. I saw a thing happen in a slice of time I can't explain with numbers. Delaney ran into the white like it would let him through. A shape stepped from the side and grabbed him by the shoulder and the back of the belt and pulled him sideways with a gentle, neat motion. Not a tackle. Not a hit. A correction. The kind you'd use to steer a kid across a street. The train slammed past. Wind punched. Gravel leapt. My chest felt hollow, like something pulled part of me through the skin and then shoved it back in the wrong spot. The noise drowned even the parts of your brain that stay loud in war. The cars went by in a smear. Box, tank, box. Tags on steel flickered like little flags in a storm. It took a long time and no time. Then the taillights winked and the sound went from gut punch to chest ache to ear hum to the kind of silence that hurts. I looked up the track with eyes that didn't want to. The rails gleamed clean with wet and light. No body. No friend. No Ortiz where he'd never been. I saw only a helmet. Delaney's. It lay on the stones at the edge of the bed, chin strap snapped and curling like a dead worm. I walked to it because my legs didn't want to stop. I bent and picked it up with hands that shook. The inside was warm. My light fell across the inside rim and found a smear of mud. No blood. Just that. Over the quiet rails, a voice whispered by my left ear. "We're not done, Sergeant," it said. It was my voice. I spun and brought the rifle up and squeezed until the mag ran dry. The rounds tore the fog and hit steel and tree and dirt, and a little sign that has been there too long. The echoes rolled out like someone shook a sheet. Then the sound died like someone smothered it under a pillow. I stood with the empty mag and the helmet in my hand, and a hole in my chest that didn't bleed. Merritt said my name like he'd say it to a patient 3 minutes from a line we can't cross back over. He had blood in his lashes. He swayed and caught himself. "Where is he?" he asked. It came out like a kid's question again, small and hard. I didn't have anything I could live with to answer him. So we walked out with one helmet and a silence big enough to bury a train in. 2 days later, they put us in a glass room at the Louisville Armory and took statements. Afternoon gray slid down the windows. The rain kept at it like it forgot how to stop. The debrief read cold, because that's how they write them. Boxes, times, weather, notes that don't hold breath, adverse conditions, limited visibility, 3 personnel missing. That's how the document said it. It didn't say Ortiz screamed, and it didn't say the train pulled a piece of my life off the tracks. It used clean words like a doctor who won't say the thing is dead because there's still a machine attached. The investigators wore faces like granite counters. They slid photos across to me. Hoof-like impressions near the truck, they said. Labeled animal. A raccoon twisted like wire, they said. Labeled predation. Radio records, they said. Labeled interference. You put enough labels on a night and maybe you can pin it to a board and stop it moving. Lieutenant Keating signed off the findings with a pen that didn't shake. She saw me through the glass and paused. When she came out, she looked smaller than her voice on the net. "We all do off the wire. Sometimes the dark just swallows things, Sergeant," she said. Not an order, not a comfort. A thing she had to say so she could drive home. I nodded because there wasn't a right answer. They let me take custody of Ortiz's recorder. He'd clipped a little personal unit to his vest that night, the kind he used to sync notes. I sat on my bunk later and played the last file. It crackled with the Midwest favorite song, static and distance and rain. Under that I caught a breath, long in, longer out. I heard it find a rhythm that was not a man's. Then a voice, thin and stretched, said 2 words in a whisper that sounded like it came through steel. Echo, under. It lagged on the last consonant like the throat that made it didn't work right. Then the file went flat. I shut the laptop and let the room be quiet. I heard the rain tick. I heard my own breath. Beyond the armory, a train horn rolled through the drizzle. It sounded normal. It sounded like every night. It sounded like the kind of thing that keeps a country running. I lay back and stared at the ceiling. I tried to make my head into a box with files and labels. That helps. It never fixes. When I go by the river now, years later, when the air gets that metal taste and the fog sits low, I think of red eye shine and a bent knee that moves fast on steel. I think of a voice that wears your voice like a stolen coat. I think of a kid from Kentucky who ran toward a friend and vanished into the white. If you go near that trestle at night and you feel the ground hum and the horn moans a little too long and your radio breathes at you like it's alive, here's what you do. You step back. You stay off the bridge. And whatever calls from below, you don't answer. So that's the end of our video. If you made it this far, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and it's free. And if you want more terrifying encounters like this one, check out the other videos on screen right now. Thanks for watching and stay safe out there. See you soon.